This message will start out sounding like I'm trying to be a prosperity preacher. And believe me, that's the furthest thing from my mind. But there are promises, there are things, tangible things, that God has promised to give His people if they will just reach out their hand and take it. Many times I have wondered about the 12 spies that went into Canaan the first time. They saw the massive abundance there. They saw the great grapes of Ashcol. And they saw the sweetness and fertileness of the land. And they saw what their God had promised them and what they had walked across the desert to receive and to take. But in between the time that they had taken the goodness of the land to show the people where they came back, and I don't know exactly how this happened because the Bible does not state it. It does not state whether there were men who went out to take the fruits of the land and to wonder or to spy out the goodness, and then there were some who went out to look at the inhabitants of the land and the problems that they would have to take it. The Bible does not say that. But there were two factors that came in to the situation. God's promise of goodness and mercy and abundance that would be overflowing to where they could not receive it. And then the opposition that Satan had to make God's promise of none effect. And as natural men, this is what they saw. The opposition. They forgot about the goodness. They forgot about the promise. They forgot about God's mercy and God's power that was shown in the wilderness. And they became cowards. They became, all but Joshua and Caleb. But they all became doubters that they could take the goodness that was offered to them. And so many times we as Christian believers think that the way of promise is paved with gold, with silver, and that there are no places where thorns grow. There are no places where opposition may come. So we walk along picking up the goodness of the land, partaking of those things that are good and comely in our sight, not thinking that there might be some opposition to a promise that was made and well-founded by God. In other words, God is not going to do any fighting for us. He's not going to have to, because He has cleared out all of the faith-stealing, opposition, and things that might cause us to doubt. That's not the way things go. And when I'm talking about the abundance of God, money, if there was a meter of 10 to 20 or 0 to 20, money would be at 20, being the very least of the blessings of God. And it's strange to me that in our prayers, and I have been guilty of the same thing, I ask God for a little financial nudge. I do not ask his people, I ask God. Because I know that if God puts it upon the heart of an individual, that he is going to bless that individual. But if I go around making them feel guilty, telling them that God is going to take me out if I don't get so much money, that they're not even, maybe that they're not good believers if they don't send money, or something bad's going to happen to them, then this is not a offering that is given willingly. This is not something that God can bless, because there are strings attached to it. There are strings of bitterness. There are strings of somebody saying, "See, I told you they're only after money." But it is strange to me that when they pray, you never hear somebody mention, "Give me strength for the journey ahead. Give me insight into your personage, Lord, and cause me to come around and know your strength. Give me the courage to go out and face people and say, as for me and my house, I will serve the Lord. Yes, I believe in something that I have not physically seen. Yes, I believe in promises that have not come true yet. But that is the way that God recreated me when I was born again. Generally, when people pray, they pray for a financial blessing, a bill to be paid, something to be moved out of the way. But if the Israelite children had done the same thing, the Canaanites would still be standing there. Because for 40 years, during the time that the people had traversed the wilderness, and God had tested their faith in him by many, many hardships, the people knew that to take the land, they had to possess it. They could not just go in and make it theirs. There was a possession that they had to wrest from the enemy of good and right. They had to go in and they had to fight a people who were serving gods contrary to the commandment of the Eternal One. They knew this. They knew that there would be fighting, bleeding, and dying. Much like if we go in to possess a good land today, we know that there's a possibility that somebody could be there. And we know that we're going to have to pay them the full price for our bit of land. But I don't want anybody to get the idea that I'm talking about physical transaction or the things of this earth. I've said all that to say this, that there are spiritual realms that we can obtain that many times we lose sight of, that many times we slow down and we do not approach before we receive the full glory. And we stand there and we worry and we fret about our lack of progress in the things of God. Go in and possess the land. It's yours. The original owner, the original promisor, gave it to you. And because he was the original promisor, it doesn't matter what is on the land, what is in the land, who has come in and taken it by just vagrancy. The owner of these things has promised it to you. Go in, be strong, be vigilant, and take what is promised to you. Whether it be wisdom from God, whether it be strength for the journey, whether it be any of these things that are in line and available to God's people, if they just reach out and take it. We have to be willing to meet the opposition in case there is opposition thrown our way. Satan does not want you to be a partaker of one promise, let alone all of them. Because once you receive from God, there is a supernatural glow about you, a spiritual emission that people know that you know what you know. That there is a God and that He is a rewarder of those that diligently seek Him. You will not turn back. You will not be dissuaded. You are going on for every promise that God made. When I was a child, we lived on my grandfather's farm for a while in Indiana. And there was a railroad tracks that went through or by the farm. And we used to walk down the railroad tracks for wild blackberries. And oh, I dearly loved them. If there was anything that was close to the land of milk and honey, it was a patch of blackberries. And I did not care the degree of ripeness. I picked them all. And my mission was to take a pan and to get blackberries for a pie. And when I came back, my mother would look in the pan and she would look on my lips and my tongue. And she would say, "It looks like the leavings are sparse." For every blackberry that I put into the pan, I would eat 20. But it was a thing that I loved to do. It was more or less a custom that I got used to. And the adults of the household knew that there would be little in the pan when I got back. Oh, what a joy life can be. The simple things of God are higher and mightier and more awesome than anything we can attain to. And they're all promised to us. Stand in the blackberry patch. Collect what you can and put it in the pan. Collect what you want and be a partaker of it. God's promises are that real. God bless you. God keep you. God cause his face to shine upon you. Give you wisdom, give you knowledge, and most of all, give you humility to use those things in the name of Jesus. Maranatha.